We've got that weekend feeling, and it's another episode of What a Shout, coming to you from the Racing Post and with our sponsors Bet365, the Racing Post weekend feature show, top edge stuff. Myself, Dave Orton, back in the seat, delighted to be here. Just a small meeting at Newbury to cover, of course. And then on Sunday, Grade 1 action all the way at Fairyhouse as well. We'll be giving you what we think will win all the big races. Who've we got then this week on the show for you? Well, probably might just go off favourite for the big race at Newbury on Saturday, Kildisart. We've only got his trainer. It's Ben Pauling, joining us all the way from the Cotswolds. There he is. Ben, I'll tell you what, Ben, for a man that's never used Skype before, you've nailed it.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show. If I cough throughout the show, it's because I decided I'd race my horses around the round gallop this morning on my feet, and my lungs aren't feeling the best because I probably smoked too much in my life, but we'll get through it somehow. Don't
go coughing too much if you want to get back on track next week for the spectators, Ben, I'll tell you. Ben, it's great to have you on. You've been training since 2013, haven't you? And it's having graduated from Nicky Henderson's yard. And it's fair to say, let's just have a chat, Ben. It's fair to say things have gone rather well, haven't they? I mean, multiple Grade 1 winners, 2 Cheltenham Festival winners as well, some extremely talented young horses. You won most of the big handicaps as well. Kildisart runs on Saturday. But you have got some news to break us, Ben. Of course, Barter's Hill was the horse that put you on the map, sadly retired. Willoughby caught, well at his feet, unfortunately didn't get over the infection. Sadly lost him. And another really promising horse that's now gone by the wayside.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got to report that Bright Forecast will no longer be in training. He was only here a short time a couple of years ago, but ultimately an exceptional talent. And he got a fibrillating heart back in October. Well, we found it October last year. It was put back in. We gave him the remainder of last season off, brought him back in. Unfortunately, it's gone out again, and there's no real way of getting it back in. So that's unfortunately for him, his career over as a racehorse, but he'll have a lovely retirement back at home at Barkfold with the Imperial Crosses.
Oh, that's the game, isn't it, Ben? Young horse, unbelievable. And Ben, you didn't have the greatest season, you had a bit of a virus in the yard last season, but this season, having had more seconds than Oliver Twist, finally at Hereford in the week, a nice horse called Optimised Prime gets you back in the winner's enclosure. And it does seem a bit of a trend, Ben. We crunched the numbers here. Raceform Interactive is a Racing Post programme that we use, and we compiled it. It does seem since November each year you tend to get the winners on the board.
Very much so. We've always been, I mean, coming from Nicky's yard, learning my trade there, we sort of aimed to have the horses out in November. This year was obviously slightly different with it being COVID, and we actually had them ready early. We had our best summer. But we went on to a new batch of hay in the beginning of October, and very quickly the horses started just looking a little bit like they needed it. Bit of head scratching went on. Maybe I hadn't got them fit, but actually the truth of being told that the hay wasn't quite right. So we changed it back the last week of October, and they've run very well since. So, it's good to be going. It's good to have a nice bunch of horses, even though they're quite a young brigade, and we're looking forward to the remainder of the season.
Yeah, open sesame from here on in. Then Tom Collins joins us in the studio. Tom, back for another stint. Good to have you, Tom.
Yeah, cheers, Dave. Looking forward to a cracking set of competitive action this weekend.
Lots of people know you don't have been on Sky for the US stuff, and we had you in for the Breeders' Cup meeting, but you're mad on your jumps racing as well.
Yeah, I love jumps, flat, English, US, Irish, French, whatever you give me, I'm happy to study
racing,
it.
Anything? Dog racing?
Yeah, big fan of greyhound racing as well. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it all.
Only the young can keep up, can't they? Young to the old. Let's go to Pat Cooney from our sponsors, Bet365. Pat, great to have you back on.
Yeah, thanks. First insult of the day. Good morning to you. I'm looking forward to it.
It's amazing it didn't come from Ben, actually, but perhaps that will come now. You've got a question for Mr. Pauling, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm going to take Ben back in time to 7th of Feb 2015, last race of the day at Newbury. Probably the best bumper of all time. He actually won the race with Barter's Hill. Second that day was Bouvardere, went on to win Champion Hurdles. Third that day was the great Altior. No introduction needed. I just wondered, did Ben realise what he was actually taking on that day when they were walking around the paddock, and how did he feel afterwards, looking back on what was a wonderful performance?
Well, he was a horse, Barter's, that was literally lamentable at home. The first year we trained him, he was so big and backward. And the second year we had him, he just started improving considerably. And we were delighted to see him get his head in front, but it was a surprise. I mean, he was 33-1 for his first race, improved to win second time out. And we went into Newbury, I suppose, as a young trainer without any fears and just keen to get on with life and, see what we got. And I knew, obviously, I hadn't long left Nicky's, and I knew the vibes were very strong for both of their horses. But in typical Barter's fashion, he set his stall out from the start and wasn't for passing up the home straight. And at the time, obviously, no one ever would realise what strength the bumper would hold. But it was a pretty special race looking back, and actually makes my training of Barter's Hill look pretty average, to be honest, because I mean, what I was doing going 3 miles at Cheltenham, God only.
Well, you mentioned off air when we were just giving you the heads up about that question that Nicky does take a rather good horse to Newbury, doesn't he? It's obviously his local track, but you did it last season as well, didn't you? I mean, they think they might just take out the Supreme Novice this year with a horse called Flinter Sacra. You sport the party that day as well, didn't you?
Yeah, no. Your Darling is a very, very, very good horse. There's no doubting that. He showed his true colours that day at Newbury. Unfortunately, since Warwick, he wasn't right with whatever we had in the yard last year. No one's still quite sure, but that was the end of his season. And this season, he returned and looked a shade disappointing, but we could give him an excuse at Huntingdon. And then at Sandown, I thought he'd have that sewn up. And he just didn't get home, and Nico reported him to have made a whistle, so he's had his wind operation. He'll be back later on in the season, but he's a horse with a huge amount of ability and a very exciting horse for the future.
Yeah, he's a whopper, isn't he? And I think the horse that beat him at Sandown might be a good one of Tom Lacey's as well. Fascinating insight already then from Ben Pauling. Let's have a look at what we've got coming up on this week's show. Hot topic: crowd control. My goodness, open sesame. The doors are flying back open to the public next week. We'll be looking into that. We'll be looking at the racing clues from the past week. Plenty still going on jumps-wise, isn't there? We'll be previewing 4 massive big races for you, as well as giving you big calls and, of course, the weekend winners. If you'd like to sign up to our sponsors, Bet365, now's a great time because we've got a referral code that's still going. Type in SHOUT365. Deposit minimum £5 for up to 100 bet credits. Terms and conditions apply. Hot topic then, crowd control. Great news, isn't it? As from Wednesday, lockdown 2.0 ends, and those racecourses, let's face it, there are no racecourses in Tier 1, so it's Tier 2. Up to 2,000 fans allowed back in on the racecourses, or indeed 50% capacity, whichever's the greater, so it's going to be 2,000, isn't it? And as we know, racecourses have been ready pretty much since May. Amazing scenes so far at the racecourses. Pat Cooney, I want to come to you first off on this before we go to Ben and get his take. Lingfield and Ludlow next Wednesday. Pat Cooney, come to you first before we go to get Ben's insight. You've been going to these courses all year. You know they're ready.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt at all that it'll run operationally. It'll go very, very smoothly. And it's just great news, and we'll have to see how it goes. I think one of the plus sides of it, of course, have been the likes of Ryan Moore, William Buick, James still being over here riding horses on, let's say, Cheltenham, sort of an evening meeting. So that's been a positive. I'm looking forward to it. It is a degree of progress, still fraught with danger, of course, but let's hope it goes smoothly. I'm sure it will operationally.
Oh, cheers, Pat. Okay, Ben, let's come to you. What's it been like? I mean, I know that you're a trainer that goes racing a lot, Ben. Whenever you've got horses running, some of them haven't been going so much this year. You have, of course. You've been doing the miles this week, for example. I spoke to you when you were on your way to Southwell on Tuesday, wasn't it? I think then you went to Hereford. What's it going to be like? Say, for example, Cheltenham's December Gold Cup meeting. Has it been soulless at the racecourse?
Yeah, it has. And I mean, I'll take this opportunity to say how brilliant the courses have dealt with it, how safe it's felt, and how the future with the crowds coming back is brilliant. But it really has been quite hard work, quite soul destroying in many ways, because it's not. It should be without the crowd. There's no atmosphere. You can't even really celebrate in any way, shape or form, even when the owners are there. Yes, we all love having a winner, but when you don't have a winner, it makes the day even more painful, really. But, I mean, we're very lucky to have been going racing and our sport continuing, so we mustn't grumble, but it'll be amazing to have the races, the crowd back, and I think it'll massively help jockeys' mentalities. I think some horses are particularly relaxed and maybe not up for it as much as they would be when the crowd are there, because everyone bounces off a bit of atmosphere.
Yes, quite right. Yeah, I was saying off air that I've been told by a lot of these course commentators, our friend Tony Ennis, who we both know that you work with on Sky, I work with him quite a lot as well. He's been saying, I think, a lot of jockeys going through the motions and connections as well. Kempton Boxing Day, for example, are you going to get back on track, TC?
Well, I love Kempton, mainly the all-weather fixtures actually, a Wednesday night. I can't get enough of those, especially in the winter. I can't wait to get back.
That's the only one where they don't have crowds.
Yeah, I was going to say that, no problem filling up the 2,000 there, but especially with the demand now, there's going to be a huge demand for the people that have been watching racing during lockdown. Maybe got into the sport because there was no other sport on ITV. They want to go racing. I know there's only up to 2,000 people allowed in Tier 2, but it's the first small step in the right direction, isn't it? And I personally just can't wait to be back on track.
Yeah, all you annual members, how lucky are you? Get out there, enjoy it. For those of you in Tier 3, we feel for you, but the tide is turning. Let's have a look at the racing clues from the past week. Then more Grade 1 action up at Haydock. And three-time winner of the race, TC, Bristol de Mai, goes and breaks the hearts of Lost in Translation. Clanderzobo looked like he was going to beat him at some point. What did you take of the race?
Yeah, well, testing ground in Haydock. That's Bristol de Mai all over, isn't it?
Bristol to Haydock, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And no surprise that his price collapsed before the off on the Betfair exchanges. And just throughout all bookmakers as well. I mean, everyone knows testing ground. When the rain comes, you side with the Bristol. Lost in Translation didn't like the ground. He was beaten from an early stage. I thought Clanderzobo ran a very nice race. He travelled powerfully, got outdone in the final strides. First run back, he's the one to follow, but Bristol de Mai, great for Daryl Jacob, great for connections. You could see what it meant to Daryl as he crossed the line, punch in the air. It was a great spectacle, wasn't it?
Yeah, OK. What about Imperial Aura? Ben Pauling, did you check that out? Have we got a new Ryanair hope there, do you think, Kim Bailey?
Yeah, I think we probably have. I'm very close with David Bass, obviously, from many years, and he's really bullish about him. Kim and Matt Nichols are doing a fabulous job this season. I think they're creating some really nice horses, and Imperial Aura is one of these, and he's massively improving. And when a horse has got that much confidence behind him, I think he'll continue to improve. So I think, they've got a genuine Grade 1 contender on their hands, and I think he's probably going to be a horse to be reckoned with for a long time.
Yeah, he loves Cheltenham as well. We have, of course, had Song for Someone winning the Coral Ascot Hurdle, beating Call Me a Lord and Lorena. We now see Lorena retired, of course. Notebook won in Ireland, beating Fakir Duderis. Does he go for the Gingles? Anything else catch your eye, Ben, last week?
Well, actually, Tom Simmons, who's one of my greatest mates and I was assistant with at Nicky's, is just one of the world's great guys. And I was absolutely thrilled to see him have such a good Saturday with Song for Someone. But Lalanda Nebo Lad, who's actually bred by his father out of a cheaply bought mare, so they've had it all its life, was seriously impressive. I ran Severance in the listed novice hurdle up at Haydock, and to be fair, Severance is a good horse and just didn't turn up on the day, bounced after running quite quickly. But that's by the by. But Lalanda Nebo Lad looked seriously good in doing what he did. He won it quite cosily. I know Michael Scudamore thinks a lot of the second horse, and I was chuffed to pieces to see Tom have two really smart Saturday winners, and I think Lalanda Nebo Lad is another one to follow for novice hurdle for the remainder of the season.
I love that. Let's concentrate on that race just quickly, Ben, if you don't mind. Yes, indeed, he is interesting, isn't he? They went a proper lick in that race, didn't they? The Michael Scudamores and Flick on You, or whatever it's called, the Nichols horse, took each other on. Let's just have a word about Severance, because he did look so impressive at Carlisle, didn't he? You inherited him from the flat off Mick Shannon. Where do we go now with this chap? Are we thinking nice handicap somewhere in the spring, or is he going to try and still rate highly as a novice?
No, I think very much novice. He did rather well on the flat with Mick Shannon, but I was lucky enough to be sent him for his hurdling campaign. And he's a very, very enthusiastic individual and was, really quite hard work to get to settle. And life was quite stressful for Severance, but we sort of got a lid on him, sent him up to Carlisle and told Keelan just to drop him in stone and just get him to settle and see what he found, and he found plenty and was seriously impressive that day. And I know he was very good on the figures with Andy Holding, a friend of mine, and we then thought, with the experience of the flat, we'd chuck him in a decent race, and it didn't work, but he's come out of it well. We found a little bit of a muscle pull as well behind, but that's nothing that can't be sorted out in minutes. Whether I don't think he wants to be going handicap route straight away. Maybe a quieter novice. Had things gone well there, I'd probably look straight towards something like the Tolworth, because he's soft ground's no effort to him and he's got plenty of speed. But he's a horse you might be seeing later in the spring in some better races again, because he's got plenty about him, and I think he'll bounce back very nicely next time out.
Could we have another global citizen in the making? Let's hope so, Ben. Let's go to Pat Cooney then. Main fact, Pat. Unbelievable scenes. Is that 9 on the bounce?
Amazing, isn't it? And, you know, I came up with a million reasons why he couldn't win on Saturday. It was 3 miles at Haydock on soft ground. 147, his handicap mark. He'd only won off 60 on the flat a couple of weeks earlier. I gave him a real tough time at the weights. And amazing for a horse who wins over 2 miles. He even seemed to find 3 miles too short. The sky is still the limit for this horse. He's one you just got to take seriously. I don't think I'll be underestimating him again. It was to let him go off on back 13-2 was an expensive mistake. But I'll tell you what caught my eye on Saturday was the ride Bridget Andrews gave Robin Gold at Ascot. They talk about ice cool. That was unbelievable. I just was watching the race in complete disbelief. The ball bounced away. She won by half a length. I don't know what would happen if she'd got beat, though, but fair play to her. That was an amazing ride.
Yeah, looking back on that in your members section of the replay. Jamie Spencer over hurdles. Memories of course, the great Martin Pipe and the days he used to get those horses on the sequence. Mains fact, they've got another one at Pond House. 205 then, Grade 1 action. It's just a fighting fifth. Woo, we got another hot pot. Don't forget Bouvardere got turned over in this last year by Cornerstone Lad. Cornerstone Lad, going to go off like a hare again, no doubt, for Mickey Hammond. Will he last home this time, or are we going to see the champion hurdle, Epatante, get back to winning ways?
Well, Cornerstone Lad might be able to last home. I mean, I put Cornerstone Lad up in my column on Monday. I think the value lies with Cornerstone Lad. 2 flat runs, a win last time out, perfectly primed for the race. He beat Bouvardere last year. Obviously, Bouvardere got a splint that day, didn't he? He took out a hurdle and half the hurdle remained in his leg. And he did amazingly well to finish so close. I think Ribble Valley's another value bet in the race. He's a very young, improving sort who's highly regarded by Nicky Richards. Goes well fresh, has to improve to win on ratings. But I just want to take Epatante on at the price.
Okay.
She definitely has a form in the book. She goes really well fresh. 5 victories and a second from 6 starts after a 70-day layoff or more. But the price is just too short, isn't it? And as I said, Bouvardere got stuffed. Maybe Epatante gets stuffed as well.
I don't know. I was expecting her to be short of TC, I've got to say.
Was 8 to 15 earlier in the week, I think. But
before we go to Ben then, let's go to Pat. What sort of price do we think the champion hurdle winner will go off, Pat?
Well, she's 6-4 on as we speak at the moment. At the start of the week, we put her in short because we knew she was going to turn up. We weren't so sure what was going to be in opposition. From a bookmaking point of view, we're relieved there's 7 runners, so we don't have to worry about the dead 8 and the each-way angle. I think 6-4 on's about her level. I keep coming back to that £7 mare's allowance. I think that's gold dust really for her. But she is giving up fitness, isn't she? So Roy's got a recent win, same Silver Street, Ribble Valley, Cornerstone Lad, he's coming off the flat. So she's going to have to be pretty much near enough ready, but it's going to be good ground. I think the £7 allowance is just the thing that just makes me think, yeah, I suppose she'll win. But yeah, the others will put it up to her, I'm sure, for a lot of the trip. But from a bookmaking point of view, we're just pleased it's first 2 places.
Okay, interesting stuff. Will she drift? Perhaps it does look a slightly deeper race than first thought. Ben Paulding, your thoughts on the fighting fifth?
Well, to be honest, firstly, it's a slightly even marginally bigger race in field size than it normally is. I think I agree that Ribble Valley is probably a bit of value because he's the improving horse, and who knows what he could be. But I mean, Epatante fully fit is going to win in my view. But it's quite interesting. Obviously, So Royale had his wind up, has improved again. They seem to believe he's in the form of his life. Darrell's actually gone to ride So Royale instead of riding Kildisart in the Ladbrokes, which is our loss slightly, but at the same time we've got Nico in reserve, so we're okay. But I think the fact Darrell's gone there to ride So Royale, they think it's his opportunity to get a Grade 1 in the bag. If there's any sort of if Epatante's short at all, they think they probably might be able to expose it. So they're obviously going there with the wind in their sails.
Yeah, and Silver Streak in there, of course. That is interesting, isn't it, that Darrell's gone up there. I guess it's a Grade 1. Nico de Boinville's got a great record for you, Ben. I think it was 42 pound profit to a level stake since you started training. That was when I did the numbers the other day. We nearly put that graphic up. I'll tell you what, that brings us nicely onto the Ladbrokes Trophy. That was the fighting fifth. What do you think's going to happen? Get your comments below, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or indeed hashtag What a Shout if you're on Twitter. Right then, let's get straight to the big handicap of the weekend. 3 o'clock at Newbury. It is the Ladbrokes Trophy, formerly known as the Hennessy, of course, and one of the premium jump races wherever you look on the planet each year. Let's go straight to Ben Pauling with this. I love him. It's Kildisart. It's the main reason why we've got you on the show, Ben. It's your sole runner on Saturday. He ran so well over hurdles. I assume that was his prep for this. I hear he's going well at home.
Yeah, no, he's in brilliant form. Couldn't have him any better. He's been in sparkling form all season, and the Weatherby was pretty special, to be honest. It was a decent field, and he was on the bridle till after jumping the second last, and as predicted, just needed it from the back of the second last of the line. But finishing third in that company is no disgrace, and he's come out of the race very well, has scored very well, and we're happy with where he is.
Yeah, his last run, of course, was at the Cheltenham Festival, wasn't it, on that opening day when he got beaten by the conditional. You've got the fitness on your side there. You watch that back, viewers, in your members section, watch back the finish of that race. The conditional does well to win, doesn't he, after that mistake 2 out, but he sort of caught him on the blind side a little bit, Ben, didn't he?
Yeah, I do think the conditional was the right winner that day. He should have nearly fallen at the second last and still got up, but one thing our lad does is stay every yard of every trip, and I think a Hennessy, fast run Hennessy, will suit him down to the ground. And yeah, we've got a bit of a wait pull with the conditional, but yeah, I'm very happy with where we are, and going into the race, we'd be quite confident.
Oh yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to hear because I've been backing him. 8 out of the last 10 have had a run. That puts you off the conditional slightly, although it's definitely another big prize in David Bridgewater's horse. Where's TC going?
Well, I thought Kildisart was the main danger. I narrowed it down to 2 on my shortlist. Main danger to Copperhead, who's my selection now.
Oh, man.
I know you're not a fan, but Colin Tizard targets this race. This has long been the plan. The run back when he was pulled up, that was just a prep.
It was in the same race as Kildisart. You say just a prep. It couldn't
just
be any
prep.
worse, could it?
Well, I don't think that was definitely not the be-all and end-all, was it, for Copperhead? That's a prep for this bigger task. He said in the stable tour that the Ladbrokes Trophy is the aim for Copperhead. Last season, he developed into one of the best novice chasers around. He won the Reynoldstown. Yeah. He also won a course and distance handicap off a mark of 134. Obviously, he's rated 152 now, so he's gone up £18. But he smashed 2 for Gold and Danny Whizbang that day in the Reynoldstown. They both line up in opposition. Yeah. That form looks pretty strong. I just think Copperhead's been primed for this. I think he's going to run a great race.
Okay. What was the other one?
Kildisart was the other one.
Kildisart.
Yeah, I think he'll relish the 3 mile 2 furlongs.
You're getting back in with our guests, which is good. Pat Cooney, let's come to you then. Vindication, first time cheek pieces for Kim Bailey's runner. You remember we had him on the show last week. He wasn't sure whether 2 for Gold was going to go. He does line up as well. We've got I Right in there for Harriet Graham. Chased home, of course, Vindication and Serename. Who's going to go off clear favourite?
I think the momentum horse is Ben's horse, Kildisart. It was a promising run at Weatherby, wasn't it, over hurdles? He has that momentum. My eye is drawn to Black Op, number 10. You look at his CV, he's run against Steffi de Salle, Paisley Park. He was second to Champ at this meeting a year ago, and yet there he is, number 10 on the race card. Are there really 9 horses better rated than him? I don't think so. I think Black Op it's got a right sort of profile for this race. Promising run first time up behind Imperial Aura, came out and won again since. The form's there, the fitness is there, and the handicap market's there. So I'm a Black Op fan.
He is a fascinating runner in a fascinating race. That's the Ladbrokes Trophy, 3 p.m. Do not miss it. Right then, big calls. Can't wait for this weekend. Let's go straight to Ben Pauling then. The floor is yours.
So, my point to get across this week is actually that I personally think too many people in this sport are being controversial about certain decisions and being derogatory about decisions made by the BHA or any of the organisations, especially through these tough times that we've been through. I actually think we're a great sport, and we're a sport that needs to stick together. And I'm sort of bored of everyone liking the sound of their own voice and being negative within the press rather than maybe going through the right channels and sorting things out more sympathetically, and what ultimately ends up being done properly, it comes across much better.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a global pandemic out in there, and as you mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Ben, we're just lucky to have had racing going on. Lucky you went on with Kim Bailey last week. Tell you that much. Might have had some slightly differing opinions there. Okay, so listen, stick together. It's a great sport, isn't it? Absolutely. I'd echo that as well. The BHA have done extremely well in unprecedented times. TC, you've got a Cheltenham Festival winner for us.
Yeah, well, I got a bit of stick when I was on What a Shout last time at the start of November. Because
there's a trend here, TC.
My big call was that John Joe O'Neill would train 100 winners this year, but there was no price about it. So people on socials were not happy.
We can't have a bet on it.
Exactly. So there's a price about this one. And that is the Boss's Oscar will win the Pertemps final at the 2021 Cheltenham Festival.
Okay, for Gordon Elliott.
Yes, for Gordon Elliott. It's won the last 3 editions. I landed potentially my biggest punt, I think, on side of Burley 2 years ago.
All right.
When I was getting on from this moment onwards, I think the Boss's Oscars, a similar great bet, was a really smart novice hurdler last year, finished 5th in the Martin Pipe, ridiculously unlucky, just got bumped and hampered all round, got hampered at the last when his stable companion fell. I think the step up will suit, step up and trip. Won a winner's race at Thurles really nicely the other day, steps up to 3 miles, got an entry at Navan on the 5th of December. That's going to be the prep, then they're going to qualify him and he's going to win the race.
Love it how you see the ball big on that. I have to say, since you came on and made that call about John Joe, form's just gone a little bit...
That's the TC curse, isn't
That's
it?
the TC curse.
Soaring Glory fell the other day as well,
Yeah.
when going to win at a short price. Yeah, it's gone a bit downhill, but I still believe John Joe's going to get 100.
You mentioned Sire de Burley. I'll go to my big call now. I was having a look at some of these Cheltenham Festival races, and there's a changing of the guard in the air, I think, aren't there? A lot of these horses are going to be double digits next year. Paisley Park coming back, of course. And I looked at the Ryanair as well. Min will be 11, for example. You know, 2 favourites from last year's festival. There is some room for new blood. We've mentioned Imperial Aura, I can see that. But in the Ryanair, there is a sneaky one. And I did a little bit of digging on it at the Henderson stable, and I'm hearing good vibes about Angel's Breath. Remember Di Walter's horse?
Yeah.
Check out his form, 2 from 2 over fences. The form is, he's a very, very talented horse, and around about 25 to 1, I think you could do worse. Have a look at the Ryanair market. I think there's room for that contracting. I'm not suggesting he's going to win it, but I think we can look at some big prices. Go on, Ben.
He was very well thought of, I know, last season. Obviously struck into himself, I think, at Ascot when he won last race. I know that Nico was very, very taken by him that day, and it's great to see him back. And he's got to be a very good horse, I think. Yeah,
he disappointed in the Supreme, and people have sort of tarred him with a brush. But if you remember, he beat First Flow when he hacked up at Ascot. He did struck into himself. First Flow entered in the Tingle Creek. We saw him land a gamble last week for Kim Bailey. Pat Cooney, a big shout.
Yeah, I was watching Ascot on ITV last week. ITV's figures have been very good, you know, topping the 1 million barrier with viewers. And there was a 3-runner race, wasn't there, last week? Lorena, Song for Someone, Call Me Lord. And I just thought, I hope you watch it because you have to watch it, kind of thing. But if you were just a neutral or a newcomer to the game, to hear Mick Fitzgerald, Ruby Walsh and AP McCoy each take a horse each and come in and out with their comments, I thought it really added to the colour of the race.
Yeah, echo that, Pat. Absolutely. ITV doing a great job. I know the producers watch this show as well, so keep with it, guys. We love you. Right then, let's go over to Fairyhouse in Ireland. One of the great days in National Hunt calendar this is. We've got, of course, the Royal Bond, the DRINMORE. We've got the HATTON'S Grace as well. Some very big hitters coming back out onto the track. In the 135, it is the DRINMORE. Envoy Allen, he's not going to be backable, is he? Are you going to be opposing him at all? Or?
Oh, it's impossible to oppose, isn't he? I mean, we haven't got the decks at the moment, but there are 7 runners initially entered, 4 trained by Gordon Elliott, 3 by Joseph O'Brien. So it's just a match race between the 2 trainers. Yeah. Envoy Allen's just unopposable. He's 9 for 9 in his career. He's a great jumper by the looks of things.
Does he harden for the Marsh market then? Is that what we should be?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to win. I think he's going to win pretty takingly. Yeah. For the forecast play, if you want to have a bet, I think Assemble is the one to play at a bigger price for the forecast.
Yeah, it was a nice run that, wasn't it?
Yeah, nice run. Not far off on the RPRs either. I think he's got a good each way. Well, not each way necessarily, but a forecast play. He's finished 2nd behind Envoy Allen, but it's not a great race for punting. Just a great spectacle to watch, and hopefully he puts in a nice 2nd run before the Marsh.
Hard to find any angles, isn't it? Let's come to Ben Pauling on this then. We saw Shishkin, of course, 10 out of 10, wasn't he, Ben, at Kempton on his chasing debut. Looks like they're going to be kept apart. If they were to meet each other, which one are you the biggest fan of?
It's a tricky one because I think they're both quite similar type of horses. They just go through the motions very, 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 very nicely. Don't get me wrong, they don't miss a beat with their jumping, but they always find what's necessary in the final furlongs. But I I suppose I'd stick with Shiskin just because I'm ex-Nicky and would love to see it. But I mean, Envoy Allen 9 from 9 is seriously impressive.
It's great to have these novice winners going on over fences, isn't it? Absolutely. The public will be baying for that match at some point during the season. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, Pat Cooney, does it? What price is he at the moment for the Master with Bet365?
Well, he's very short. He's around about 5-2, and he's just a win machine, isn't he? On the Shiskin debate, I think Shiskin over 2 miles, Envoy Allen over anything further would be how I'd see it. He'll hop round. I think he'll just mop up these grade ones for fun prior to the festival. So I expect him to win handily on Sunday.
Let's move to the 235 then, the HATTON'S Grace. Honeysuckle coming back. She took out the mares. Again, a win-win-win machine, isn't she? I'm a Honeysuckle fan, I expect her. She just loves going right-handed, isn't she? Ben Pauling, did you have a view?
Yeah, no, I think Honeysuckle, she's the dream mare. She really is. She always finds enough, and she's tough. But the mare's allowance in these races is huge. You know, they just, you know, if you've got a good mare, getting £7 off of some nice geldings, but maybe not absolute outright top class champion hurdle prospects, then I think, if I'm honest, she's a good thing.
Yeah, there's a debate about this mare's allowance, isn't there, about Annie Power, of course, and Benny Dejure. So, big tick then for Envoy Allen in the DRINMORE. Not so much Honeysuckle. Could she well drift to a backable price? What a day it is on Sunday in Ireland. Okay, time for the My Racing double then. Double header at Newbury, 150. They're going for T-Clip. I think he can go in again for Tom Lacey. And in the 335, it's Moonlighter for Nick Williams and Tom Scudamore. Time for the weekend winners then, the Naps, the bit you've been waiting for. I'm going to go in the 1240 at Newbury on Saturday, Grade 2 Novice Chase. Philip Hobbs, Richard Johnson, Kaluki. Tore up the course and distance last time. This guy's been waiting to go over fences. I think he can topple Next Destination. Tom Collins.
Well, my domestic nap, as mentioned in the RFO on Monday, was Copperhead in the Ladbrokes Trophy. But my actual biggest nap on Saturday is over in America. Now, after all the domestic action's done, $9.57 at Churchill Downs. You can get prices at Bet365. Not many bookmakers offer prices at Churchill. But Travel Column for Brad Cox, who had a fantastic Breeders' Cup. This horse only run twice, bolted up in a fast time in a sprint on debut at Churchill. Then ran in the Grade 1 Alcibiades Stakes, got beaten by Simply Ravishing. That horse went on to run in the Breeders' Cup. She takes on Travel Column again, and she's going to be favourite for this Churchill Downs race. But Travel Columns has been kept fresh, only had 2 starts, very exciting over this trip. Plenty went wrong in the Alcibiades. I think you're going to get about 5-1. Nap of the weekend. I think he's got a great chance.
Okay, that was long odds on he was going to go to the US, wasn't it? It was a slightly bigger price. It was going to be that short talking about it, of course. Pat Cooney, let's go to you.
Yeah, I think I found one here. It's the 5 o'clock at Wolverhampton. It's number 5, Ocean Line, trained by Alan King, ridden by Tom Queally. Watched this horse run last time out. He had a terrible draw. He's in stall 12. It was over 7 furlongs. He was running on really, really strongly at the end. It's a mile on Saturday evening. It'll be a much better performance this time around. He was in the notebook 2 weeks ago. This is his first run since. I could see him winning for sure tomorrow at the 5 o'clock at Wolver.
Marvellous. We're stretching out the treble so far, time-wise, 12:40, 1 at Wolverhampton, 1 in the US. Ben, I know you're mad keen on Kildisart, rightly so as well. Delighted to hear that. But you're going to give us one for next weekend?
Yeah, no, I'm going to give you Le Brule in the Beecher Chase next Saturday. He's in great form. He looked back to his best, or certainly the Le Brule of old. I think it took a year to get over the National Hunt Chase, to be honest. But up at Kelso, he ran a lovely race. He's come out of it brilliantly, jumped the fences in the Beecher last year magnificently. And considering the sort of cloud the yard was under, he looked the winner over the Melling Road. And I think he's made for him this year. And I'm really hopeful for a big run.
I don't know what, I'm absolutely excited by that as well. I agree. Watch that back in your members section, that replay. He does love those fences. Could he just be a national winner in the making? Well, that's all we've got time for then on this week's What a Shout. It's been a belter, hasn't it? TC, thanks for coming in.
Cheers, Dave. Looking forward to the action this weekend.
Yeah, all right, so are you on duty? You doing a bit of Sky for US?
Sky Sports Racing Saturday night, covering all the US action.
We go around the globe, don't we? Happy days. Don't forget Tom's nap on that. Pat Cooney, thanks to you.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great stuff. Pat will be back on track. Go and get your autograph if you're one of the lucky ones next week to be at Ludlow or Lingfield. Pat will be at one of them. And Ben Pauling, thanks so much for coming on, Ben.
No, absolute pleasure. I've loved it. And yeah, it's been great fun.
Absolutely. It's been a nod to your secretary, Hannah, as well. It was a pleasure to deal with this week. Well, that's it then for us here. Myself, Dave Orton, signing off, and what a shout. We'll be cheering home. Literally, I'll be in this seat screaming home Kildisart tomorrow in the Ladbrokes Chase. Wherever you're going, let us know. Get your comments in. You can do that below on YouTube, of course, whether you're watching on Facebook or hashtag what a shout. Get all your opinions in. You'll see all the social media clips. Don't forget to download the free Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store itself. Don't forget, safe gambling. So much racing to aim at. Do take targets. And more importantly, enjoy the sport.